Hey there, welcome back to another review, this time of Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which I was wondering how this would hold up the second time around. It held up fantastic. This is still my favorite Marvel film. It's still one of my favorite films from last year. It's still one of the best thrillers I've seen in recent memory. It's also one of the best comic book films I've seen in recent memory. And it's the best Captain America film I've ever seen. And I really don't know how. It's going to be hard to top this, let alone equal it. And that is an amazing thing to come out of my lips because this is a film directed by the guys, the Russos, who directed You, Me, and Dupree, which was an absolutely horrendous comedy starring Owen Wilson. And I'm flabbergasted. I cannot even believe that those two men were responsible for such an awesome film. Now, they're not the only people responsible because the screenplay is one of the best and most tight and most well written I've really honestly seen in a long time. And it by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. Excellent screenplay. The story just has a lot of twists and turns in it, a lot of things in it that really make the film really work. The pacing of the film, it whizzes by your head just as fast as one throw by Cap of his shield. You know how fast it takes for Cap to throw the shield. It feels like the film feels like that for me. I think it just goes by at a rollicking pace. It doesn't stop. Even in the moments where there's a little bit of it slows down to have a little bit of character building moments, those are still great moments. The action is superb. I remember I saw in the theater, I noticed some of the shaky cam. I was wondering if that would be a little of an issue for me after watching this again. The shaky cam in this, it just adds to the experience, and it's never really too bad. It's so bad that it takes away from the film. There's actually a lot of scenes in it where there isn't really shaky cam, or if there's just a little bit of it, but it's just enough to add a little bit of visceralness to it. It doesn't really seem like it's the shaky cam that's so bad, like in Furious 7, for instance, you don't know who's fighting who. You always know who's fighting who. And I think the shaky cam wasn't so bad that it took away from the cinematography or the choreography in most of the fight scenes. The Winter Soldier is a fantastic villain. It's a villain that it's Marvel's version of the Terminator. He keeps coming, and he won't stop ever until you are dead. And then when you find out that spoilers, because everyone's probably seen this movie and already reviewed this. I'm behind here. Uh, when you find out it's Bucky, that adds even more intrigue to the character and makes it one of the most memorable and most impactful villains in Marvel film history for me because you feel for this character, you feel for Bucky, what's been done to him, and when you have the final showdown between Cap versus his friend, this is his friend, this is his childhood friend, like he says in the film, like even when I thought I lost everything, I had Bucky. And I always had Bucky, and here, he doesn't necessarily have him, so wants to try to get him back on the side of the right, so to speak, and help him remember who he is, and it just adds for a very uh the impact is heightened in the climax in the final battle because it's Cap versus his friend who doesn't remember who he is, and his mission is to kill Captain America, is to kill him. And it just adds, that's great. That's great. I mean, that's the stuff that's the stuff that great stories are made out of in great films. A friend for Cap's best friend has been turned into his worst enemy. I mean, it's great stuff. And of course, supporting cast, fantastic. Scarlett Johansson, you get a little bit more backstory for her character, Black Widow. Her and her Chris Evans have some great chemistry together. Like I said, Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, he actually pulls it off really well. Great performance. Not asked to do too very much. I don't even think he says a word. I think he says like a couple words. So he's not asked to do too much other than look intimidating, and he pulls that off. Anthony Mackie plays Sam Wilson, Falcon. I really, really enjoyed this character. It was a lot of fun. I like just good sense of humor, very likable character. I like Anthony Mackie anyway, so it was nice to see him in this. And the film made Falcon cool. I never liked Falcon when I read the comics with Falcon and Cap growing up. I never cared for Falcon. I thought he was lame. Here they made him badass, and it made him really cool with his suit, which has the wings pop out and it flies around and shoots some guns. And yeah, Falcon was cool. For once, which is really crazy. I mean, it had some of my favorite one-liners in the film, like Frank Grillo plays a good bad guy too, as the guy who would go on to become Crossbones, and it was another big villain adversary for Captain America, and he's talking about I work for Hydra and I'm gonna beat your ass and there's no prisoners, and Anthony Mackie's like, oh, would you shut the hell up? And so there's a lot of fun moments like that. This is one of those films that I thought it had the perfect balance of seriousness and grit, but it also embraces comic book roots, and it didn't shy away from them. It's a film that had the best of both worlds. You had a comic book film that was grounded, a little bit more rooted in reality. It had a little bit of more of an edge to it, but at the same time had fun. It still was a fun popcorn flick at moments, and even when it was trying to be serious, it was still believably serious. But then it also knew when to change up the pace. It knew when to liven the mood. There's multiple times where it gets a little bit too serious, and then one character will throw out a quip to make you chuckle, or there's a really intense chase scene with Nick Fury getting chased by Hydra guys, and he's talking to his van, and he's like trying to get contact Maria Hill, played by Cobie Smulders, and it's like, does anything in this? Just like, oh, the screen doesn't work, the contact screen doesn't work, communication screen doesn't work. Does anything in this thing work anymore? The air conditioning is 100% functional. So I mean, there's a lot of moments like that in this film. That's the setup for a great movie and a great time at the movies. A film that doesn't really let its seriousness weigh it down. And that's why I personally feel this is better than The Dark Knight. This is better than Batman Begins. This is better than The Dark Knight Rises, because it's serious and it has a gritty tone to it, but it does not decide not to have fun. It also livens the mood. So then the grit and the seriousness doesn't become so oversaturated and so heavy that it feels like it's oppressive to you. It feels like it's something that's just being thrown on your shoulders, and it's no longer an fun experience. It's no longer entertaining to you. It's just, oh God, it's doom and gloom. There's only so much doom and gloom you can take, and Captain America has that. It tears away everything that Cap knew and loved. It makes it so it seems like everything that he did at the end of the first film was for naught, because Hydra lived within Shield, and it took that away from him, and it took away Nick Fury, at least you think so, and it took away so much, and it tested his character and tested his mettle that no other experience had done for him, and the film still manages to have that vibe, have that fun vibe that a lot of Marvel films have, but it was still a little bit serious. It was like, wow, this is how you do it. This is the blueprint that every comic book film that wants to be serious and wants to be dark and wants to be a little bit of gritty, have a little bit of grit to it, should take on. What's wrong with that? Isn't that the best thing? Isn't that what you want? Isn't that what you ultimately want when you're creating a film? Is to appeal to almost every audience, basically appeal to every audience that you can. If you appeal to the best of both worlds, you appeal to the best of both audiences. You appeal to what people are looking for. And you appeal not only to just one side of the equation who like dark, gritty, serious, super dark movies that are nihilistic and depressing. You also appeal to the people who like to have some fun every now and then. They like to enjoy their films. They like to have a little bit of popcorn while they're at the movies and not feel like such a sad sack afterwards. Captain America Winter Soldier takes on real issues, takes on realistic moments, and takes these heroes and grounds them a little bit down to reality, takes them back down to earth, but doesn't take away their personality. It doesn't take away the charisma. It doesn't take away what makes Marvel films so entertaining and so well made, and the films that so many people like to watch. And that's the thing. If DC ever was going to do another Batman film, I would love for them to take a page from this. to have a little bit of seriousness and grit to your story, but still have fun with your concept. Still embrace who you are. Embrace your comic book roots. Don't try to stray away from them as far as you possibly can because you're trying to shoehorn them into this idea of realism or this idea of what the world is now or the real world, so to speak. This film does a really good job with real issues and bringing these characters into a more realistic environment. But it still knows who it is. It still knows what its identity is. It's a comic book film, and the film is so much better for that. It doesn't have limitations, and that's why I think DC's really selling themselves short if they're saying, we're not going to be like Marvel. We don't want to be like Marvel. We don't want to be like Marvel at all. And it's the point where, oh, you just don't want to be like, you don't want to be like Marvel. I get it. But are you telling me you don't want to appeal to the best of both worlds? Are you telling me that does not sound appealing to you? To appeal to both sides of the equation? Isn't that what you want? Isn't that what you want when you make a movie in the first place? But teach your own. We'll see what DC does with their cinematic universe. But from what I've been seeing, what I've been hearing about, it seems like they're just going to go the super, super serious Nolan route as much as they possibly can, suck all the life and soul out of these characters, except for maybe the CBS Supergirl show, which I gotta say, I don't know how that's connected to the same universe as Man of Steel. But that's a whole other story entirely and a whole other video. But I just wanted to mention that because I think this film it really does an excellent job weighing both of those sides and just best of both worlds. And it was just a dream come true for me to see a comic book film that is gritty and realistic at moments, but it still is a comic book film. It still is trying to entertain its audience. It still isn't trying. It still has some deep thoughts and some deep moments, but it doesn't go so deep into reality that it just becomes too much. And yeah, I could go on and on about how successful this film is at balancing both at this balancing act, but should get on with the rest of the review. I'm not really going to go into super in depth on the plot. I'm just going to talk about a few sequences and some quotes that I like, and give some props to a few things here and there, and then I'll call it a day. Really, because I don't really want to ruin it for some people. I mean, I already ruined it. Plot spoilers. I already did that, Hydra and everything, but um, I don't need to go through a huge rundown of this plot. It's a if you haven't seen it, check it out. And if you have seen it, you don't need to hear me talk about it and watch the movie yet. But anyway, the film starts out with a really rousing, fun action sequence on a ship where Captain America goes in, takes care of business, and kicks ass. This is the film that really, to me, showcased how much of a badass Captain America can be. And that it was a really welcome sight to see, that's for sure. He kicks like 10, 20 guys' asses on this ship, goes in, goes up against Batroc, played by George St. Pierre, UFC fighter, hands him his ass in a really in a really well choreographed fight sequence. It's just right off the bat, you have a really fun, really exciting, really well directed, really well choreographed fight sequence. With just multiple different fights and boom, 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 Cap using his shield and just kicking ass. What more can you ask for? And then you have in the middle of the film, about 20, 25 minutes in the film, you have a really rousing, exciting chase sequence with Nick Fury, where he actually gets to do something. Holy shit, except just stand around. He actually gets to do something. And it's a really exciting, thrilling chase. It's one of the most exciting, thrilling car chases I've seen in a film in a long time. It's gets your adrenaline pumping, and then it builds up the story, and then it just carries it on. Then you have Steve Rogers has this badass moment, this iconic badass moment in the elevator, where all of these guys are getting in the elevator. Cap realizes something is up, and then he says to them, what has got to be one of the most badass lines in comic book movie history. He comes in and is like, he says this line is just so epic. He's like, before we get started, does anybody else want to get out? And then boom, 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 and they try to take him on, but he kicks all their asses and just leaves just knocked out bodies in his wake. And it's epic. It's right up there with the scene in Superman 2 where Superman flies up to the outside the Daily Planet window and calls out the General Zod and says, "Would you care to step outside?" Yeah, it was just about as badass as that. Or the scene in RoboCop 2 where Kane's like, "Kane," where RoboCop, not Kane, is it? Whoops, got him mixed up. Where RoboCop's like, "Kane, let's step outside." It's really badass. And once again, even if you're not the biggest fan of Captain America, you can look at that one sequence and be like, man, that is pretty badass. I'm not the biggest fan of Captain America, but that is a pretty badass sequence. And it's just great. I mean, so many sequences in this film, like when he gets out of the elevator and he takes down that, I think it's like a jet with his shield. I was just like, oh, it's just so awesome. And I was like, yes, America, fuck yes. That's really how I felt with a lot of the sequences with Cap in this. And then you have he gets on the run with Natasha, and then there's some character building moments that are fun. They find out Zola's still alive in this computer that's been hidden behind the first S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, and really good production design. And that's something I also noticed about this film. There's as much practical effects and sets as they possibly can do in this. And that's great. And today's day and age where it's just sit behind a green screen and we'll do everything in CGI, it's really great to see a film that, no, let's make everything as practical as we possibly can, including Winter Soldier's outfit, including his cybernetic arm. Let's make it practical, including the sets. Let's make them all practical. And with CGI, we're just going to use it sparingly. And when we do, we're not going to color grade the fuck out of it with blue filters or blue or orange and blue, so then it looks like a cartoon. This is a prime example of how you use CGI effects correctly. Because there is CGI in the end with the helicarriers where they take off and when they get blown up, but it looks phenomenal. It's really impressive because they don't color grade the fuck out of it. So newsflash, Hollywood, stop color grading the fuck out of your movies so everything looks like a fucking CGI cartoon. That'd be a good idea. I don't know. Be nice to see. You know, I'd like to be impressed with the CGI, but if you're color grading the fuck out of it, then it looks like shit. Just because the Coen brothers did color grading for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which was, they did that to make it look like a sepia tone, so they can make it look like an older film, which fit with what the film was supposed to be, doesn't mean that you should hire a bunch of color grading idiots to color grade the fuck out of all your movies and add gray and blue and orange and shit and make it fucking look terrible and look not unrealistic and look nothing like a film. It just looks like a cartoon and it looks fucking stupid. Please stop. I'm so frustrated I'm spitting. I mean it and I'm pissed. I'm sick of it. I want to yell out the window and be like, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And this film doesn't do that. And that's the reason why I love it. It doesn't do that stupid shit. But anyway, that's going to be a whole nother video. But anyway, yeah, great CGI in this that's used sparingly. Good practical effects when they have it. Some real fucking explosions. And if they are CGI, they're pretty damn impressive. The fights are good. The stunts are great. And this should be one of the second unit stunt photographers, Spiro Rosados, who's done a ton of really awesome stunt work and a lot of awesome action flicks from low budget up to high budget productions. I'm really glad he's still getting work. Fantastic job, Spiro. I want to give him a shout out because who else is going to give him a shout out in a video like this? So great job, Spiro. Keep it up. And just, yeah. I'm sorry, my brain is still like in anger and rant mode. It's hard for me to get out of it. But anyway, the whole scene where they find Zola, I really like. Really great production design. These old computers. And just the whole scene, just how it all unravels, it's just enthralling. You're just like, oh my god, really? Everything he did was for naught. It was all lies. It was Hydra was taking him out from the inside. I mean, that's a great script. It's a great plot. It's ballsy. This is an idea of a ballsy plot line that works. Takes balls to do a plot like this, and this is a risk that they took that was worth it. I mean, here's Zola's speech, which I thought was really good. He's like, Hydra was founded on the belief that humanity could not be trusted with its own freedom. But we did not realize that if we tried to take that freedom, they'd resist. The war taught us much. Humanity needed to surrender its freedom willingly. After the war, S.H.I.E.L.D. was founded, and I was recruited. The new Hydra grew, a beautiful parasite inside S.H.I.E.L.D. For 70 years, Hydra has been secretly feeding crises, reaping war, and when history did not cooperate, history was changed. And Natasha was like, that's impossible. S.H.I.E.L.D. would have stopped you. Accidents will happen. Hydra recreated a world so chaotic that humanity is finally ready to sacrifice its freedom to gain its security. Once the purification process is complete, Hydra's new world order will arise. We won, Captain. Your deaths amount to the same as your life. A zero sum! And then Cap punches the screen out, which is a nice moment. And you're like, oh shit, everything is just taken away from him. The rug's been pulled out from underneath Cap and the audience. Like when I first saw this, I was like, what? Wow, that takes a lot of guts to go that route with your second film in a series. Just tear it all down. But it works out. It really does. It ends up working in the film's favor. So, yeah, I thought that was really bold and very, very topical. Patriot Act, all that. You know, we really should repeal that. I know it's up for being, it's up in Congress recently, the Patriot Act. You know, we really should vote to get rid of that because of what happened in the NSA recently and all of that. I mean, you know, we could have our own Hydra in our midst. And the NSA just named one of the programs Skynet, for fuck's sake. They really did. I'm not kidding. They named one of their fucking programs Skynet. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a real life Hydra running around in our own government. Wouldn't be surprised in the least. And so yeah, great sequence there. And there's even a fun little moment of levity before they even boot up Zola. Scarlett Johansson's typing on the computer, just like, shall we play a game? It's like it's from a movie. It's from a popular movie. And then Cap's like, I know, I saw it. And speaking of movies, I thought it was really good references they had. Like in the beginning, Cap's running alongside Anthony Mackie. He's like, on your left. And then Anthony Mackie suggests him to check out the Trouble Man soundtrack by Marvin Gaye. And then Caproy puts it down on his list of things to see. Rocky. Yeah, the list says it says Rocky, Star Wars, Star Trek. And there's even a little fun reference to The Running Man of all things. Where Cap meets up with Anthony Mackie Falcon later after, you know, he met up with him jogging. And he's like, hey, Running Man. And he's like, yeah, I saw that. I caught the last 5 minutes. It was pretty brutal. I was like, that's really awesome. Running Man reference. That's so awesome for an awesome film like this to reference another awesome movie. And so yeah, the film's definitely, it has a little bit of self-referential humor too, because there's a scene where Cap steals a car and Natasha's like, where did Captain America learn how to steal a car? And he says Nazi Germany. But in my head, I'm like, that's a little reference to the 1990 film. That's a reference to Captain Carjacker. I get it. They really should have done it where he's like, I think I'm going to be sick, and then he steals the car. That would have been even more hilarious, really. But they did a little bit of a reference to that. Whether it was intentional or not, it was I think it was intentional. I really do. For Captain America fans to be like, haha, yeah, the 1990 film directed by Albert Poon. Yeah, Albert Pyun. Yeah, that movie pretty much sucked. I can still watch it, but it has nothing on Winter Soldier. So yeah, great moments of lines of dialogue that are really well written, fun moments. Even a great speech by Cap when he breaks into, you know, I was gonna say well, S.H.I.E.L.D. technically is Hydra, and he breaks into the offices and he takes a hold of the microphone, and this is a great speech. Attention all S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. This is Steve Rogers. You've heard a lot about me over the last few days, and some of you were even ordered to hunt me down. But I think it's time to tell you the truth. S.H.I.E.L.D. is not what we thought it was. It's been taken over by Hydra. Alexander Pierce is their leader. The Strike and Insight crew are Hydra as well. I don't know how many more, but I know that they're in the building, and they could be standing right next to you. They almost have what they want. Absolute control. They shot Nick Fury. And it won't end there. If you launch those helicarriers today, Hydra will be able to kill anyone that stands in their way. Unless we stop them. I know I'm asking a lot, but the price of freedom is high. It always has been. That's a price I'm willing to pay. And if I'm the only one, then so be it. But I'm willing to bet I'm not. And then Sam's like, did you write that down first, or was it off the top of your head? See, that's another great example of how the movie has a moment of levity that doesn't make the film feel so depressing, and it's dealing with these dark elements and these kind of heavy moments, but it always makes sure to throw out a little line there, here and there, a little sequence to bring it back down to a respectable, enjoyable level, which is great. I think more movies that deal with this type of material could do that. And the impact of the story isn't deadened at all. It isn't hurt by these moments of levity. In fact, I think it's impacted even more because you managed to get this message across in a very fun, crowd-pleasing movie and in a good, enjoyable fashion without beating somebody over the head with a lead hammer. It's nice. It's nice to get your message across that way, I think. It's just me, but that's what I think anyway. But yeah, great speech. And there's also some really great action sequences. Like I said, fight scene at the beginning of the boat, great chase with Nick Fury. Then you get Cap takes out a plane, that was cool. Then you get the first a few sequences, Winter Soldier, who's Terminator, won't stop, and really well shot. I even like the little bit of music they use for when he shows up. It definitely fits the character. The score by I think it's Henry Jackman, and the climax is a really rousing, fun, really thrilling, awesome climax. Cap and Falcon are going around trying to put these different chips into these helicarriers to stop them from wiping out 20 million people. Because Hydra's plan with Project Insight is to wipe out people who are in their way. And that includes the President of the United States and Stephen Strange, which was, I like that little name drop, because us Marvel fans know who that is. It's Doctor Strange, which I thought was pretty cool. A little name drop to Stephen Strange in the film. And so, really exciting climax, and great fight scene between Winter Soldier and Cap. There's a lot of impact with that. And I really love the sequence where Cap's getting his ass kicked by him. Pretty much he's Steve Rogers is trying to tell him, Cap's trying to tell Bucky, Winter Soldier's like, you know me. And Winter Soldier's like, no, I don't. Bucky, you've known me your entire life. Your name is James Buchanan Barnes. Shut up! And he hits Steve. I'm not going to fight you. You're my friend. And he drops his shield, and then the Winter Soldier lunges at Steve and repeatedly pummels him. You're my mission! You are my mission! And then Steve's bruised and bloodied. Just about the Winter Soldier's about to deliver a final killing blow. And then Steve's like, then finish it. Because I'm with you till the end of the line. Which I thought, oh, that's... And that was a line that Bucky gave Cap when he was young. Well, back in the 40s when, they were friends. Cap was dealing with some hard times, and Bucky told him, I'm with you till the end of the line. And it's great. It's a great line of dialogue. That sums up the film. I'm with you to the end of the line, Captain America Winter Soldier. I really am. This is definitely going to be one of my favorite films for a long, long time because I'm such a big fan of the character Captain America, and it's really great to see him in a film like this that's expertly written, really well crafted. The action sequences are thrilling and just exciting and really fun to watch. The story is great. The characters are great. The lines of dialogue are fun and definitely witty and really right up my alley. And yeah, I can't really say enough about how much I really, really do love this movie. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna. I already went over most of the plot points that I wanted to get across and mention some of the action sequences and so forth. Yeah, I really don't know what to say about the film. It's a great movie. It's an excellent film. I personally feel it's the best Marvel film. I like Iron Man, the first Iron Man, a lot, but I think this is a little bit better. He's a better villain. Even Robert Redford, Alexander Pierce, great performance. I'm not really the biggest fan of Robert Redford or his films, but I thought he was great in this. So that's another thing. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, and he was great in this, and I really liked his performance. That says a lot. It was nice to see Jenny Agutter again, who played one of the council members in this. who Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is in this, but Scarlett Johansson. Uh, see, I'm a little bit confused there. Black Widow, and she impersonated one of the council members, and it was Jenny Agutter who she impersonated. Jenny Agutter, you might remember. I remember her from American Werewolf in London. So it's nice to see her get some work. And Nick Fury, this is one of his best one of the best performances for Sam Jackson in these type of films as a character. Nick Fury, it gave him a lot to do. You learned a lot more about the character, and it was nice to see. I admit, when I first saw it, I did think he died, but you know, hey, I should have known better. Um, but yeah, I really don't know what to say. Except America. Fuck yes! No, seriously, I really do love this film. It's a great movie. It held up really well the second time around. It's it says it's like over 2 hours, like 136 minutes. It's mainly about 2 hours and 3 minutes. Count the end credits and the mid credits and end credit after end credit sequence. It's about that long, and it goes by, like I said, as fast as one throw of by Cap of his shield. Just one shield throw by Cap. It goes about that fast for me. Um, yeah, there were moments in this film that I'm just like I just so captivated by the film, enthralled. It's giving me chills at moments. It's just a great movie. I definitely a film that I think the praise is definitely well deserved. It definitely earned it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the Russo brothers are gonna bring with Civil War. I don't like Civil War. I never liked the comics, and I'm not the biggest fan of Iron Man versus Captain America, but you know, I did like Winter Soldier versus Cap, and that was his best friend versus him versus Cap. So I guess I could kind of look at it and be like, all right, I guess I could give Civil War a chance. But all I gotta say is it's got really big shoes to fill, and it's got a lot to ground to make up to even equal the greatness of this film. Um, yeah, I really don't find anything wrong with it either. 5 out of 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, straight to the stratosphere. Excellent fucking movie. Great film, great thriller, great action flick, great popcorn flick, great comic book movie, and most importantly, a great Captain America film. But anyway, I really don't know what to say except thank you. Thank you for watching my review of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Thanks for watching all my Captain America reviews, and stay tuned for Avengers reviews, which that should be fun. Anyway, thanks, and I will see you guys later. See ya.